Hello and welcome to another Atlas build, this one focusing on the Master Strategist Theodore. So, he is a G2 Season 2 hero, Theodore, for Cavs. So, to start off with, just going to show my PvP kills so far with him. Nothing much, just 11 million there. So, I haven't really used him too much in the open field. But I'm not really a Cav player, but I've tested him out just a little bit there. So to start off with, we're going to start off with his skills. So first off, we have the Shadowed Spite. So it's 1,000 rage cost, and it's a mid-ranged attack there. Not melee, mid-ranged. Deals damage to the target legion and inflicts bruise. HP minus 30% for 3 seconds. So it's a 1400 damage factor, and the HP reduction is 30%. So if we take Emery's here, who has 1500, we're losing 100 damage factor, but gaining that extra 30% HP reduction. The second ability, the first passive here, Trader's Ambition. Legion cavalry units gain a bonus to their stats. So we have at max rank, it is 30% defense bonus and march speed bonus of 10%. The third skill here is Royal Right. When garrisoning a city or stronghold, Legion has a 20% chance to gain vigor and attack resistance when hit by an attack. At max rank there, that is HP bonus of 10% and attack resistance of 10%. The duration is 3 seconds. And then the thing that everyone talks about when they talk about Theodore is his final passive, his fourth ability here, Coup de Grace. So what Coup de Grace is, this is a wall of text, and we're going to kind of break it down and explain it easier here for you afterwards. But each time the Legion inflicts a debuff effect on the enemy Legion via a hero skill, it gains 1 stack of Consulate's Mark, maximum 3 stacks. When Theodore casts a Rage skill, all stacks of Consulate's Mark are consumed, increasing damage dealt by that skill by 20% per stack. Consulate's Mark is reset when battle ends. When the Legion launches Unyielding Rush or Wild Barrage, it gains 3% stack of Conduit's Mark. Okay, so if you have all 3 stacks, that's an extra 60% hero skill damage factor is, I believe, what it's talking about there. We're stacking extra damage when we're casting a rage skill. Well, it's all consumed when casting a rage skill. Now it says in here we automatically get all 3 stacks with Unyielding Rush. So for those that don't know, Unyielding Rush here, if you click the little eye in the top right hand corner and the middle skill here, this is when you charge into an enemy Legion. You'll see that little charge effect and you automatically get 1000 rage. So that is proccing the full passive. Now we can also proc the passive with debuffs there as well. So that's something to keep in mind. And then the Awakened skill here, Weaver of Intrigue. Theodore's Legion gains 25% less normal attack damage. Takes 25% less normal attack damage. Alright, so with the skills, what you're going to want to do is 5, 1, 1, 1, and then you're going to want 5, 5, 5, 1. Now, without the locking system, it's really hard to get, and I've got really lucky that I got the 5, 5 there. So, ideally for myself, what I'm looking for is 5, 5, 1, 5, and I'm not really going to awaken him anytime soon. For me, since I'm not using him in a city or stronghold, his third ability here does absolutely nothing for me, so there's no point in me ranking it up or doing any points in there. Next up, we're going to move into the talent tree that I'm going to recommend and use, and I use one similar myself. So to start off, we're getting the 3 basic normal talents that we always do, and then we're going into the right-hand side of the skill tree. I mean, you could start left, either or, that's totally fine. We're getting the overall attack. We're getting intimidation for more hero skill damage. We're taking head held high for granting more rage accumulation speed. Now, I've gone with Spirit of Rage, and Spirit of Rage just allows me to cycle my rage skills faster. Most players are going to take Boiling Blood, and Boiling Blood is probably where you're going to want to play if you're using Burst. If you're dealing burst damage, you want to take Boiling Blood. So there's going to be 2 kind of pages. One is going to be if you're doing burst damage versus if you're doing more sustained damage. So this is absolutely for burst damage. This is more for sustained damage. And so you can kind of see the difference there. Next is detached. Detached is if you're going to be doing burst damage with your hero skill damage bonus of 8%. And normal attack damage reduction. So we're losing normal attack, but we're gaining that hero skill damage. This is for burst as well. If you're dealing with a sustained fight, you're going to put all 5 points into Unquenchable Will instead, with the bypassing of the enemy's HP of 2%. So if it's a long drawn out fight, you're getting Unquenchable Will, and if you're dealing burst damage, you're getting detached. Next, we're going into the whole reason to go into the skill tree, and that is to gain these 2 nodes here. One is focus, so we're getting hero skill crit rate bonus of 10%. Legion has a 10% chance to gain hero skill focus right there when launching a normal attack. And then the next ability, Raging Tide. Raging Tide, increase your Legion's the crit damage bonus by 15% ultimately. So we're gaining crit, and we're doing massive amounts of rage skill cast, and we auto get a rage cycle when you use that unyielding rush. Rush would also launch as the coup de grace. So we're stacking all of this damage on our initial rage skill to quickly pop the enemy down. And then next, I've grabbed Thirst for Blood. Thirst for Blood here is if you're dealing with burst damage as well. You get that flat damage factor of 60 every time you use a rage skill. Or there's Caged Animal. And Caged Animal is if you're dealing with more sustained fighting. So every time your hero casts a rage skill, they deal 0.5% damage. So you're going to want to take, I'll show it actually. Let's reset that. So, coming up here, coming here. So if you're dealing burst damage, oops. I am extremely tired still. I've been getting ready for my move and getting everything to do with my move, and I'm moving back in with my dad. So he's not doing so well health-wise, so it's about 10 hours away he lives, 11 hours. So that's kind of what we're doing there. So this is what, if you're doing burst damage, this is what you're going to want to run with the Boiling Blood and the Thirst for Blood there, getting that. Now, if you're dealing with a long sustained fight, you're going to be going with Spirit of Rage. You're going to take Unquenchable Will over Detached, and then you're going to take Caged Animal. And that's for a more long, drawn-out battle where you want that extra attack damage. Then we're going into the left-hand side of the tree, and the left-hand side of the tree typically stays the exact same, where you have the march speed, we have more attack damage, and then we've gone into Intimidation for more hero skill damage. So we've got 16% hero skill damage so far there. And then we're getting perfect ferocity. Your Legion gains synergy. So we're gaining that synergy buff when they enter battle, increasing the hero skill damage dealt by 15% for 10 seconds. So this is absolutely burst damage. This is if you're just running in and you want to do as much damage as possible and then get out. This is what you're going to use. And like I have already said, we're changing those 3 points if you're dealing with more of a long, sustained fight. If you're just running in there and then staying in there, that's what you're going to want to do. Now, with this extra point here, there's several places on the tree that you could put it if you want to. You could deal more damage to marksman units. You could get some, you could get shelter buff with getting some defense. You know, we could get a little bit more rage accumulation speed. So really, wherever you kind of want and you feel that you need to put that final skill, then that's where you can kind of flip-flop on where you want to put that final skill for what you think that you need. Next up, we're going to talk about the pairings. So Theodore actually pairs with quite a few heroes, but the one that I'm personally running Theodore with is I have my Ferondale as my secondary. Now, with the Coupe de Grace, we need to proc debuff effects. So each time the Legion inflicts a debuff effect. Okay. So we have Bruise as one debuff effect, but we have Cowardice here on the Rage skill, as well as, well, he's awakened. He can apply Physical Defensive Break and Slow. So on the next wheel spin, I'm planning on getting Ferondale to Awakened. And then he's going to proc the 3 stacks that we need for the Coupe de Grace. So my number one pairing is going to be that Theodore Ferondale. Now, we are lacking the March speed. If you went with the Emery's mobility tree, we're going to be way slower than Emery's. So if you're using all of your legions in the field, that they're not going to match up with the March speed. So what you can also do is we're running the similar page with the same kind of March speed, a little less March speed because you got the 10% there, but almost the same March speed, so you'd move this here for the 10%, and then you could run your Bahorn primary, your Emery secondary, and then you could match the March speeds there. So that's also a possibility if that's something you want to do. That's for if you're fighting short, close range, you're not running across the map, then I'm using that skill damage out there, and I'm hitting between both rage cycles about 50k damage at a time is what I can hit. So I'm hitting about anywhere around 22, 25k with Theodore and just a touch less with Ferondale. So we're absolutely shredding through marches when we dive right in there with our cav units. So it's absolutely a nasty combo pairing these two, and then you've got your Emery's and your Bakshi, or like I showed you before, we've got our Emery's Bahorn as kind of a substitute. But if you do want to pair Theodore with anyone other than Ferondale, you don't really have those options for who's going to be debuffing, but we do have Marduk that does have that inflicts defensive break 1/3 of the time on his rage skill. So randomly inflicts one of the following. So not the best, but Theodore, you know, since you're getting the 3 stacks already for the Unyielding Rush, you could proc it that way, but the number one pairing for Season 2 here, in my opinion, is going to be that Ferondale. Next up, we're going to be moving into artifacts. So the artifact that I'm using is the Oath of the Storm Peak for Season 2 here. And what this one does is it summons a clone to deal some damage for us. Now, whenever your Legion inflicts Cowardice on the enemy Legion, your Legion gains Rampage. So we're gaining that Rampage damage dealt buff plus 5% for 10 seconds. So we are getting that Rampage when we also have them paired with those two together. Now, other artifacts that you can be using for the epic options, we do have the Cloak of Stealth and you've got the Guardian's Runic Longsword. So you've got these two as your epic options, and now if you went with the Crown of the Berserker like I did in Season 1 till you could get your Spring Blades, you could also use your Crown of the Berserker in the meantime until you get a legendary artifact. Other legendary artifacts that you're going to want to use, the Kingslayer is really good, so you can use the Kingslayer to get all that extra damage. We've got decent damage factor down there, and also the Storm Arrows. The Storm Arrows allow you to teleport, so, and gain Rampage. They've got all that damage there, so the Storm Arrows allow you to blink, cut off enemies, all that wonderful, wonderful stuff. So Storm Arrows, Kingslayer are other two really good legendary options, other than the Oath of the Storm Peak. Now, next up is going to be the pet. So my pet isn't the best here. I have really low agility, but I have decent luck and decent strength with a 7 slot, so I've kept it so far. Well, I'm going to need to re-roll this one day for more agility. So for pets here, I'm using the Berserk Fey Drake, okay? But that is also, remember, because I'm pairing my Theodore with Ferondale. Right here, each debuff effect inflicted on the target legion grants 1 stack of Fierce Mark. Inflicting Cowardice, so the Rage skill of Ferondale, grants an extra 2 stacks, maximum of 9 stacks. So all stacks of Fierce Mark are consumed 2 seconds after your deputy casts a Rage skill. So because we're applying all of the debuffs between both the marches, that is why I'm running the Berserk Fey Drake. No, it does not work well with other marches. And then with that, I'm also running the Fierce Attack package there. So that's what I'm personally running for my pet. Now, honorable mentions, if you're running Theodore with other marches, for Season 1, Season 2, you can also run him with that Shadow Manticore if you've built that up, because it's also, we're dealing physical damage there, and gives you a little bit of healing. So that's one option there. And then third run, and the only time I would run third there is if you're out of your stamina, but then you could also run a Venomous Lizard, just because you're getting into the fray, and you're dive bombing in there. So, but really, it's going to be that Berserk Fey Drake is going to be the #1 pick there if you are running the Ferondale and Theodore combo together. If you've split them up and you don't have all of the debuffs and the cowardice, then in Season 2, I would recommend the Shadow Manticore. So, yeah, hopefully for you dirty Cav players, I'm joking, love you guys. We need you. You flank us. So I help take care of the tanks with my mages, and then you guys flank their DPS. So for those cavalry players out there, hopefully you enjoyed this Theodore kind of overview build.